The whistle blasted across the yard, and everything froze. 2 officers pointed, a red light flashed over the gate, and a voice on the speaker said, "Matthews, cuff up. SHU placement pending." The whole yard went quiet like someone turned down the world. David Matthews, Dave to most, raised his hands, palms out, as the chain door buzzed. He had been on this yard for months without trouble. Now, in one breath, he was leaving the open air and heading toward Pelican Bay Security Housing Unit, the SHU, where the door is solid steel and the sky is only a strip. He looked once at the pull-up bar, once at the gray ocean of concrete, and once at his friend Ben on the track. Ben didn't shout. He just stared, jaw tight. The gate clicked. The cuffs closed. The yard swallowed its noise. And Dave knew his day had just split in two, life in general population, and the walk to the SHU. To see how he got here, you have to rewind to morning. Pelican Bay starts early. A buzzer hums before dawn. Lights snap on in long rows. In general population, or Gen Pop, men stand for count, then wait for the food cart. Breakfast comes on trays, eggs, toast, sometimes oatmeal. Officers call names. Doors open in short bursts for showers or work lines. The yard gate opens according to a strict schedule. Everything runs on time, because time is the only thing that always shows up. Dave had learned the rhythm. He kept his cell neat, bed tight, shoes under the cement desk, letters in a single stack. He had a job on the tier, sweeping dust that never seemed to end. After lunch he hit the yard. The yard is not grass, it's concrete. But it's space. There's a pull-up bar, a track line, and a few benches. Men walk in slow loops, some in pairs, some alone. Others do push-ups, counting under their breath. The sky feels big out there. On windy days you can smell the ocean if you stand just right. Meals in Gen P still pass through slots most of the time, quick in, quick out, but there's chatter between doors, a wave here, a nod there. Programs exist, but they're limited. A class may last a few weeks, then pause. A library cart comes by, then disappears for a while. A counselor might call your name, talk about goals, then the yard closes and you wait for the next week. That is the shape of a day. Hurry up, then wait, hope, then hold. Dave found ways to cope with the monotony. He did a ladder each day, make bed, sweep floor, write 5 lines to his sister, read 10 pages, do 50 push-ups, walk 50 laps in the yard. He told himself, climb the ladder, then sleep. It helped. When he walked, he counted, 1, 2, all the way to 50, then back to 1. Sometimes he timed his steps with the clack of the gate or the beep from the control room. He kept his mind on simple things, breath in, breath out, because simple things don't break. Surveillance is everywhere here. Cameras watch the walkways. Officers in the control booth watch the cameras. On the yard, towers watch the fence, the track, the bar. Most of the time you don't notice, then you do, and it's like someone flips a light inside your head. You remember that every small motion is seen, counted, logged. That morning, a small motion is what changed everything. At Chow, a folded note, what men sometimes call a kite, was found near the serving line. It was not in Dave's hands. It was not in his pocket. But his name was on the margin in pencil, like a reminder on a scrap of paper that never reached him. Policy says any sign of gang contact or suspected contraband can trigger a review. Reviews can trigger moves. And the move, when the risk feels high, is to the SHU. No one told Dave right away. He went to work, swept the tier, and thought about the yard. He had planned 50 pull-ups, 5 sets of 10. He wanted to beat last week's best. At yard release, he stepped into the gray light and felt the wind on his face. Ben joined him at the track. They walked side by side, not talking much. That's when the whistle hit. Matthews, cuff up. The words came flat and official. He lifted his hands, slow and steady. An officer guided him toward the Sally Port, a small box between the yard and the block. Keys clicked. Doors sang that heavy metal sound that sticks in your ears. Ben kept walking the track alone, eyes forward. In a place like this, you learn not to make quick moves or loud questions. Inside, the process stayed simple and strict. An officer wrote in a log. Another checked Dave's wrists. A third read from a sheet, administrative segregation pending SHU review. Not guilt. Not punishment decided. Review. But everyone knows the shape of that word. It looks like a door with no window. The walk from Gen Pop to the SHU is not long, but it feels like crossing a border. The air cools. The corridors get tighter. The lights feel whiter. The noise drops to a hum. A control booth sits above the tier with rows of monitors like a wall of square eyes. The SHU door is solid and heavy. The cell is about 8 by 10 feet. There is a metal bunk, a cement desk, a toilet sink combo, and a slot in the door, the place where the outside comes in. An officer spoke in that steady tone trained for hard moments. You'll be on 23-hour lockdown. 1 hour exercise alone in the pen. No contact visits. Mail is screened. Program is limited. If you need medical, speak up. Keep your area clear. Follow every order. This is for safety. Yours and ours. He nodded. His mouth felt dry. The officer's words were not new to him. Everyone at Pelican Bay knows the SHU by name, by stories, by rules. But hearing them while standing on the threshold made the words heavier. He thought about the yard 2 minutes ago, the space, the wind, the pull-up bar. He thought about his ladder, bed, letter, book, laps. Could a ladder fit inside a box? In SHU, the meal comes through the slot. The sound is a soft scrape, a quick exchange, a door sliding in miniature. That first tray arrived fast, rice, beans, a roll. He wasn't hungry, but he ate a little because eating is a rung on the ladder. He placed the roll aside for later, the way you save a page you like to reread. The highs and lows here are small but sharp. A high might be a letter that makes it through screening with good news from home. A low might be a denied program or a day when the yard hour gets cancelled. Dave told himself he would find new rungs, make bed tight, clean sink, write 5 lines, even if they never leave the cell, read 10 pages if a book came, walk in place if the yard hour fell through. He would count cracks in the concrete like stars, but the mind does tricks when the room is small. It makes echoes. It stretches minutes. So he did what he could do right away. He breathed in 4 counts, out 4 counts, hands on the cool metal of the bunk. He whispered, climbed the ladder. From the corridor came the steady beat of the place, keys, boots, a distant radio. Then, close to his door, a new sound tapped softly through the vent. It was like a knock, but thinner, like someone speaking in Morse with their fingertip. He pressed his ear to the vent. The pattern paused, then started again. 3 taps. Pause. 2 taps. Pause. 3 again. He didn't know the code yet, but he knew a message when he heard one. In the SHU, people still reach across the gap with whatever they have, taps, notes, patience. A slot clacked nearby. An officer's voice carried down the tier, legal mail later. Yard call pending. Another voice from the control booth cut in, clipped and calm, stand by. Additional placement under review. Dave sat on the bunk, hands on his knees. The light from the ceiling made a hard white square on the floor. He stared at it like a window that hadn't been cut yet. He thought of Ben on the track, counting steps alone. He thought of his sister, Megan, and the letter he owed her about staying steady. He thought of the folded scrap with his name, the one he never saw. The door's heavy lock made a small, new sound, like a throat clearing before a sentence. The red indicator on the frame blinked once. From the speaker above the door, the control room voice came again, a shade tighter than before. Matthews, prepare for movement. Movement. In the SHU, that could mean one of 3 things: the hour in the concrete pen, a legal call, or a deeper placement, further inside, where the rules grow even thinner and the lights never dimmed. He stood, heart thudding. The slot opened. Cold air slid through. He turned, hands behind his back for the cuffs, eyes on the blank steel. The ladder in his head stopped on the rung marked, "Breathe." And as the cuffs clicked closed, a second voice, one he didn't know, came on the line with 4 quiet words that made the whole tier hold its breath: "Perimeter alert. All hold." The door to Dave's new SHU cell slammed shut and the sound echoed like a hammer. He had been in the box for less than a day and already felt the walls closing in. His bunk, his sink, his toilet, the slot in the door, everything was exactly as described in the orientation speech, but nothing prepared him for the weight of the silence. In general population there was noise, footsteps, voices, even laughter. Here, only the hum of the vent and the occasional clang of a slot broke the stillness. At 7 a.m. the speaker above the door buzzed, "Stand by for breakfast." A tray slid through the slot, cold cereal, a carton of milk, toast. No eye contact, no words. Dave ate slow. Telling himself he had to create a new routine. He wrote 3 words in his head: wake, eat, breathe. He repeated them until the nervous energy in his stomach dulled. Across the tier, a sound like tapping drifted through the vent. It was the same soft knock he'd heard the night before. 3 taps. Pause. 2 taps. Pause. 3 again. He pressed his ear to the vent but couldn't make it out. In the SHU, communication happens like this: codes through pipes, kites on strings, a flick of fingers under a door. The officers know, but can't stop all of it. That's how men keep a sense of connection. At 9 a.m. a voice announced, "Yard." Dave expected a gate to open onto a field. Instead, the door unlocked and 2 officers in gloves cuffed his wrists through the slot. They led him into a small pen surrounded by concrete walls so high he could only see a slice of gray sky. The floor was bare. The air smelled damp. He stretched, tried push-ups, but the space felt like a box inside a bigger box. After exactly 1 hour a buzzer sounded and he was led back. That was his exercise. The rest of the day passed in 23-hour lockdown. He read the only book left in the cell, a worn paperback with missing pages. He wrote lines of a letter on toilet paper, hoping he'd get real paper soon. He did push-ups until his arms shook, then lay on the bunk staring at the ceiling. He tried to think of the yard outside, of Ben walking laps, of his sister Megan's last letter. He told himself, "This is another ladder. Different rungs. I can climb it." Officers walked by with clipboards, checking cells. Sometimes they paused at the control booth window, whispering. Dave caught snatches of words: review, transfer, gang validation. He knew that once you're in the SHU, the file on you matters more than the face of you. He hadn't even been told how long he'd stay here. Just before dinner, the vent went quiet. No tapping. No hum. The stillness was so sharp it made him sit up. He felt a low vibration through the bunk, like a door somewhere far away had been opened. Then the red indicator above his door blinked once. From the speaker came a voice he hadn't heard before, calm but tight: "Matthews, prepare for movement. Immediate." The slot clacked. Cold air rushed in. He stood, hands behind his back for cuffs. Movement in the SHU can mean yard, legal call, or something else entirely. He heard boots on the floor outside, more than one pair, moving fast. The cuffs clicked closed on his wrists. As the door opened and the light spilled in, another voice came over the radio, not calm at all but sharp: "Perimeter alert. All units hold." The officers froze. The door stayed open just enough for Dave to see the bright corridor beyond and the shadow of a guard running past. Red lights began to spin above the control booth. He stood there, cuffed, between the cell and the hall, heart hammering. The whole prison had shifted in a heartbeat. And he didn't know yet if he was being moved, investigated, or about to witness something that could change his life inside Pelican Bay forever.